We built the shaft so we could investigate. So, of course, Marty and I are going to go down. How far is that down there? It's not very much further. I'll just open this little hatch here, so we'll get a better idea. Imagine you've just uncovered the legendary Oak Island gold chest, making you an instant millionaire. The team's excitement skyrockets as they uncover a strange object that points them back to the original money pit. So the hope is that once we get down 50 to 60 feet, we'll be able to drill vertically. Deep underground, a hidden tunnel is found, possibly leading to the long-lost treasure that eluded treasure hunters for over 200 years. Could this be the final piece of the puzzle that reveals Oak Island's hidden truths? Let's explore what seems to be the ultimate proof that the Oak Island treasure has finally been found. The Lagina brothers' biggest challenge. People who watch The Curse of Oak Island are really into the hunt for the rumored treasure buried on Oak Island, an intriguing place off Nova Scotia's southern coast. For many years, fans have been digging into a centuries-old challenge that has lured lots of treasure seekers to the island. But snagging this treasure is no walk in the park. Not a single person has managed to find any riches there yet. Rick and Marty Lagina, the brothers leading the show, feel they might finally be close to discovering the treasure. They believe they're right on top of where the treasure is hidden. Just think about that. If they're right, they could do what no one else has, proving their long hunt wasn't for nothing. Could they really be about to make one of the biggest discoveries on Oak Island? Once they hit what could be a significant find, Rick and Marty decided the smart move was to zone in on the money pit area. Their goal was to reach a promising tunnel spot at around 95 feet down. To get there, they had Dumas contracting LNT push the garden shaft down to 90 feet. While digging, finding bits of metal made them more hopeful that they were on to something big, maybe even closing in on the so-called baby blob. The hints of metal were just part of the excitement. The real buzz was about possibly running into an underground wooden structure, which could be a major clue. This gave them another solid lead to follow, one that might finally help explain some of Oak Island's long-standing curiosities. As they pushed on, it became clear that digging here was tougher than in other parts of the island, so the team planned to deepen the garden shaft to better explore the tunnel. They were pumped about what they might find, thinking it could be historically significant. Laird Ninian, the archaeologist on the team, was especially keen, feeling they were closer than ever to finding out what was beneath Oak Island. Getting deeper into the garden shaft seemed crucial for the team to access this intriguing tunnel. They were reminded of the exciting finds from another hole nearby, where they had pulled up things like old parchments, leather book bindings, and a curious item marked with the number 6. This fired up everyone, making Marty and his brother sure they'd uncover more interesting stuff. However, their focus briefly shifted to what they thought was a wooden treasure chest. Do I believe that there's treasure at the bottom of the garden shaft? I'll be honest, I'm hopeful, but I just want to get underground the money pit. But when they extended a nearby hole known as H8, they stumbled upon something huge, about 170 feet down. Everyone was eager to figure out what it was, hoping it might help them overcome the tough challenges they faced for over a decade in their treasure hunt. Unfortunately, trying to reach what they thought might be the treasure chest turned out to be tricky. Digging deeper made the H8 borehole unstable, caused it to spit out dirt, and making it risky to dig further, especially since it seemed to be pushing the chest deeper underground. This setback reminded them of an earlier dig and a theory by Terry Matheson. He had guessed that the vault or chest they were after might have been damaged or tampered with by someone in the past. While the theory was intriguing, the team was more interested in recent scans showing signs that there might still be valuable things hidden below. This renewed their determination to reach the suspected vault for a detailed search and excavation, hoping to finally uncover what many have been chasing on the island for over 200 years. As the team continued their efforts on Oak Island, they recognized the importance of handling the materials from the H8 dig site with care. Each piece of evidence they encountered hinted that they were possibly near the long-sought vault. Isn't that exciting? These hints reinforced their commitment to the search for the legendary treasure rumored to be hidden somewhere on the island. This discovery was a real morale booster, energizing the team as they worked tirelessly to solve this age-old riddle. As they wrapped up one find, the team turned their focus to another spot, eager to see what else the island might show them. Exploring ancient pathways, this renewed determination brought them back to the southeastern wetlands of the island, close to where the original money pit was thought to be. The team was buzzing with excitement about what they might uncover in this area, particularly near the ancient stone path. What things could this place hold about the island's rich past? The team was on the cusp of finding out just how significant this cobblestone path was historically. Known as a bustling area in earlier times, filled with anticipation, the team dug into the deepest parts of the marsh. While their main goal was the elusive treasure, they were also open to finding ancient artifacts and relics hidden beneath the area's marshy surface. During this intense period of exploration, Gary Drayton took advantage of the situation. He and some team members began to speculate that the stone path might have also served as a wharf for ships that once came to the island. This is what we want to be finding, ship spikes. That means there have been some ships coming here. Intriguingly, this path was not only historically significant because of its connections to the Knights Templar, but might also reveal how the island was used as a landing spot for unloading goods. Alex Lagina was particularly struck by the story and the deep historical significance of Oak Island. He was amazed by the ancient nature of the relics they were uncovering. Motivated by a strong desire to delve deeper, the team ramped up their efforts. While Gary pressed on with his specific searches, the rest of the team focused on gathering more clues that could shed light on the history of the stone path. This effort was not only about finding treasures, but also understanding the significance of any items they came across during their investigations. Rick Lagina, in particular, was drawn to what was happening in a specific corner of the bog, believing it could be a key factor in unraveling the 200-plus-year-old treasure hunt. Despite the excitement of the treasure hunt, the team was fully aware of the numerous challenges they faced. Nevertheless, the historical importance of the swamp in relation to the treasure hunt was highlighted, possibly due to an exciting find by Gary Drayton in that very area. This find increased their confidence that they might one day actually uncover the treasure. As they moved forward, the team stumbled upon an odd boulder situated close to the stone path. They suspected that it might have been placed there deliberately. This thought gave them hope that they were perhaps on the right track to uncovering the treasure that had been sought by many over the last 2 centuries. Exploring these intriguing clues and their unique positions, Rick became particularly interested in the importance of this boulder. Shortly after, Billy Gart led the team to a series of rocks he had recently found. They were thrilled when they realized these rocks seemed to form a trail leading up to the boulder located near the stone path in the original money pit. Jack Begley began to ponder the historical events that might have transpired in this area, while Billy pointed out the significant potential for discoveries in such a place. The possibility that they were finally closing in on something substantial was palpable. Each member of the team felt the weight and potential of their findings, driving them to dig deeper and explore further. The site near the boulder and stone path was meticulously examined. They mapped out the area, noted every small detail, and carefully excavated around the boulder. We're hopeful that Mike and Mark will be able to give us some information from the stones, hoping to uncover any signs or artifacts that could connect the dots to the legendary treasure. Their exploration didn't stop at digging. The team employed advanced technology like ground-penetrating radar and metal detectors to scan the surrounding area for any buried objects that might not be visible to the naked eye. Each beep and signal from their equipment brought a wave of anticipation and hope. As they progressed, the team documented everything meticulously. Photographs, video recordings, and detailed notes were taken to ensure that no detail was overlooked. This documentation was crucial, not just for their records, but potentially for future historians who might study their efforts to unravel the questions of Oak Island. With each new dig, more pieces of Oak Island's history came to light, bringing them closer to what might be hidden below. Digging up Oak Island's buried history, the deeper they dug, the more layers of the island's past were revealed. Pottery shards, old coins, and fragments of metal tools were among the artifacts unearthed, each adding a piece to the historical puzzle of Oak Island. It's nice. I found tokens that go all the way back to Roman days. These findings suggested the presence of earlier settlers or visitors who might have used the island for various purposes. Discussions around a campfire in the evenings turned to theories and ideas about what might lie beneath. The team debated and discussed various historical events that could have led to burial of treasure on Oak Island. They speculated about pirates, colonial hidden caches, and even ancient civilizations. Each theory was considered, no matter how far-fetched, because on Oak Island, anything seemed possible. The spirit of camaraderie among the team members grew as they shared this adventure. Their collective efforts, the challenges they overcame, and the small victories along the way brought them closer together. This wasn't just a treasure hunt. It was a historical expedition, uncovering layers of the past that could rewrite the history books. As the season progressed, the team prepared for the possibility that they might actually find the vault or treasure they had been seeking. Preparations were made for safe and respectful handling of any significant finds. Discussions with historians and experts were conducted to ensure that they were ready to properly manage and preserve any historical artifacts they might uncover. So it really wasn't a shock to the crew when they found out Rick was keen on continuing the dig. During their chat, they discovered that Rick's interest had been sparked by the odd arrangement of stones and a large rock they'd recently come across. The unusual positioning of this rock made Rick suspect it might be quite significant in their larger quest. Thinking back, it must have been quite a buzz for Gary Drayton, who was really into the idea of discovering treasures for himself and his team since the site. The team was near the stone path and the famous money pit. The whole team was buzzing with excitement about the endless possibilities this area could offer. Their excitement was likely fueled by the strategic placement of the rock they stumbled upon. With this in mind, Rick pointed out how crucial it was to take a closer look at this area. The prospect of what they might find was thrilling for everyone, but Gary couldn't shake a certain feeling, so he expressed his concerns about how deep this new find really was. He came across some clues in a wooden object buried just a couple of feet under the earth. A closer examination of this wooden piece showed its unique shape and heft. An even more detailed look led Gary to think it might be part of a ship's decking. This realization helped explain why their metal detectors hadn't picked it up, since it was made of wood. Keen to connect this wooden piece to a possible shipwreck, the team doubled down on their search for any evidence that could link this fragment to a larger historical context. Determined to uncover more from this piece of wood, the team agreed to dig deeper. This insight made Marty ponder the team's consistent effort in the swamp. It's very similar to some of the planking that we found, but this is irregular. It's wider at this end and thinner there, he noted, especially given the tough conditions they faced there. Sure, they had often found items that didn't mean much, but this might change if they kept up their strong effort, especially in an intriguing swamp environment. This led them to consider how long metal objects could survive in the swampy ground. Following Rick's instructions, the team ran into some tough challenges, particularly Jack Begley, who had trouble finding metal in the money pit area, specifically in Lot 5, where they were actively searching for the missing metal presumed to be buried there. At the same time, other team members were making headway elsewhere on the island. For example, an archaeological team was digging up an unusual stone foundation they had found under a circular depression earlier in the year. This excavation led them to stone constructions that didn't fit with what was typically known in archaeology. When Jamie Kuba, an archaeologist on this team, talked about these discoveries, he mentioned he was getting a clearer picture of the stone structure they had unearthed. This new focus brought their attention to artifacts uncovered at about 161 feet deep. These finds gave them insights into the various people who had lived on the island over the ages. For instance, they uncovered a lead trading token from the 14th century, Venetian glass beads dating anywhere from the 1500s to mid-1600s, and metal tools linked to Sir William Phipps. The team's excitement grew as they moved to a new area, ready to dig deeper and see what the island had kept out of sight. Following the trail of Oak Island's old foundation, eager to mark the boundaries of the old foundation, Jamie Kuba decided it was time to lay out the plan for the team. Despite the challenge of such a task, excitement was running high in the camp. The team's anticipation grew even further when they realized their exploration could potentially connect the site to the legendary treasure thought to be hidden on the island. Wouldn't that be something? Jack thought that certain periods in history might have left their traces here, suggesting an ancient presence in Lot 5. What could the bricks, ceramics, and glass they found tell them? Well, that's great. Yeah, this one's much bigger. Oh, that is quite shiny, they remarked. If not, there was a deeper story to this place. These items might complicate the investigation a bit, but they could also lead them to understand their connection to the infamous Money Pit legend. Perhaps they might even point the way to the treasure that has been sought by many for over 2 centuries. With renewed vigor, Jamie Kuba and the team set out to gather more data that might aid their mission. Energized by these new opportunities, Jack was eager to make sure the team played a significant part in these findings. This effort could reassure everyone that they were moving quickly towards significant discoveries in their project. Clearly, to make any real progress, the team needed to work closely and effectively together. Over time, the team noticed some interesting aspects of their environment. The density of the dirt in the area suggested that there might be mortar nearby. This discovery gave them hope that they were making the right steps toward locating the storied treasure rumored to be somewhere on the island. Meanwhile, Laird and Ian was about to join the group at a newly discovered stone foundation on the western part of the island. When they reached this area on the coastline of Lot 5, they felt they were on the verge of another substantial discovery. At the same time, Kuba was busy examining a grayish material she stumbled upon. This substance looked a lot like rough mortar, or maybe even concrete. It was strikingly similar to a material they had come across before in the Money Pit area. Jack recalled a similar encounter near excavation site, H-back in 2019. Such findings were not new for the team or those watching the exploration unfold from home. They often came across different types of concrete and construction materials while digging around the Money Pit. Given these considerations, Laird thought it would be a good idea to check in with Emma, the team's expert in metals and materials. He believed she could shed some light on this latest find by comparing it to a previous sample from the Money Pit, hopefully figuring out where it came from. Jamie was all set to help out by providing a sample for analysis, though Laird was a bit worried about the intricacies of such an analysis. Understanding the origins of materials was often tricky, and finding a comparable soil sample could be challenging. Still, he was hopeful. Laird clung to the belief that sooner or later, the perfect conditions would arise that would allow them to learn something truly significant from what they had found. For the time being, the team had to do the best they could with what they had. They were all hoping that their hard work would eventually lead them to discover the long-talked-about treasure hidden on this strange island. In the meantime, as Jamie prepared the sample for Emma, they discussed the potential significance of this find. They pondered whether this material could be part of the infrastructure used by past treasure seekers, or perhaps even remnants from those who originally hid the treasure. The idea that they might be touching pieces of history connected directly to the legendary treasure added an extra layer of excitement to their work. The day started with Rick and Marty Lagina and their team focusing on the swamp, which is a triangular-shaped area that has consistently given them fascinating finds. The swamp is believed to hold connections to the Money Pit, potentially linking past excavation attempts and structures designed to conceal something of value. Their first task was to investigate a stone walkway uncovered in the southeast corner of the swamp. This is not just any random pile of rocks. It is an intentionally constructed feature. The angular placement of the stones, their alignment, and their origin suggest they were brought here for a specific purpose. Some of the rocks are similar in size and shape to those forming the famous Nolan's Cross, which is a megalithic cross discovered in 1981 by the late Fred Nolan. It is interesting how the stone placement in the swamp seems deliberate, which raises a question. Why would anyone go to the trouble of building such a structure in such a remote area? The team noted how some of the stones appear to come from deep underground, not the nearby beach. They speculated that these stones were likely extracted during previous excavation efforts, possibly related to the Money Pit, and then placed in the swamp. If this is true, it suggests the swamp might not be natural at all, but a carefully engineered feature. Rick Lagina pointed out how these stones form a clear line, while the surrounding area showed no similar formations. The uniformity means there was some kind of human activity, and not some natural cause. The big question now is whether this walkway was part of a larger network of structures, and if so, who built it and why. The deliberate nature of these structures suggests that there was a purpose for building this, but the lack of historical records keeps everyone guessing. Meanwhile, attention turned to the garden shaft, an 18th century structure believed to be close to a potential treasure tunnel. To the garden shaft, The team was making steady progress here, excavating layers of clay and rock. This part of the island has always been a hotspot for intriguing finds, and hopes were high as they continued their work. The Lagina brothers joined the effort, eager to get hands-on with the excavation. Armed with pneumatic jackhammers, they dug into the dense clay, which is a physically demanding task. Rick admitted that it was some of the hardest work he had done in years, but it was worth it for the chance to uncover something extraordinary. Watching Rick and Marty dive into the digging shows just how personal this search has become for them. While digging, the team uncovered more evidence that reinforced the theory of human activity in the area. A shoe fragment was found near the stone walkway. When they sent it for analysis, they found out that the leather piece was vegetable tanned, which was a common process in the 16th and 1700s. The stitching further suggested it was hand-sewn, likely in Europe and brought to the island. Interestingly, the experts who were with them believed the shoe belonged to someone of higher rank, like an officer rather than a laborer. This suggested the presence of individuals overseeing work rather than performing it themselves. This small find tells us that someone of importance was here, not just workers. The leather's condition and craftsmanship tie it to a specific historical context. It is likely that there was European involvement as the team continued to analyze the swamp. They also acknowledge the importance of understanding its purpose. If the swamp was modified, or even entirely artificial, it raises questions about its role in concealing whatever lies at the heart of Oak Island's mystery. Maybe it was a deliberate cover for an entrance to the money pit or another treasure chamber. The placement of the stones, the alignment of the walkway, and the presence of unusual geological features all point to intentional human activity. Spooner noted that more evidence of human construction emerged the deeper they dug. They found structures that seemed to defy natural explanations. By this point, the swamp is proving to be much more than a curious side project. It is becoming a critical piece of the puzzle that connects different parts of the island. As the day progressed, the team pushed forward with their excavation efforts, removing layers of earth in the garden shaft. The goal was to locate the tunnel believed to lie beneath, possibly leading to the treasure or at least providing more clues. After years of digging and searching, this felt like a breakthrough moment. Rick and Marty reflected on the significance of their work. They cared less about finding the treasure and more about preserving history, honoring the island's legacy, and fulfilling a mission that spanned centuries. The excitement was too high at this point. This had now become a journey to uncover the truth, whatever that truth might be. After this, they went to meet Chris Morford, a dedicated researcher who was there to unveil his latest findings. Points on Nolan's Cross lead directly to the money pit, which is the area believed to hold the island's greatest secret. The drilled stones themselves were fascinating. The first was discovered by Frederick Blair in the late 1800s. It had been moved during early excavations, but its original location was carefully documented. Later, Fred and Nolan found two more drilled stones during the surveys. Chris had analyzed their positions and realized they lined up perfectly with key points on Nolan's Cross, reinforcing the idea that they were part of a larger design. One of the most amusing features of Nolan's Cross was Cone Moon Sea, which is a boulder near the shoreline. Chris believed this was the starting point for anyone following the Templars' map. From there, the drilled stones acted as navigational markers, leading toward the money pit. He described it as a breadcrumb trail, carefully laid out to guide those who knew how to interpret it. The team listened intently, their curiosity growing with each detail. Chris pointed out that these markers were not unique to Oak Island. Similar features have been found at Templar sites across Europe, where natural landmarks and man-made structures were used together to create coded maps. On Oak Island, the combination of the swamp, the drilled stones, and Nolan's Cross suggested a similar approach. Chris had also studied the distances and angles between the boulders and drilled stones, finding patterns that seemed too precise to be coincidental. The alignment reflected a deliberate plan. He noted that the stones themselves were not native to their current locations, meaning they'd been transported there. A no small feat considering their size and weight. Whoever moved them must have had a significant purpose. The big question here was, why Oak Island? Chris explained that the Templars were masters of strategy, known for their ability to hide treasures in plain sight. After their persecution in the 14th century, they scattered across Europe, and some theories suggest they ventured even further. Nova Scotia, with its remote location and rugged terrain, would have been an ideal hiding spot. The island's natural features, combined with the Templars' engineering skills, made it the perfect place to safeguard something valuable. Chris emphasized that the arrangement of the stones was not just for practicality. It carried symbolic meaning. The cross itself was a powerful symbol for the Templars, representing their faith and their mission. By embedding this symbol into the landscape of Oak Island, they ensured that their presence and their secrets would be remembered. The team could not help but be drawn in by Chris's enthusiasm and the depth of his research. The alignment of the stones and drilled markers seemed too deliberate to ignore. To test the theory, Rick and Marty decided to bring in Steve Gupte, their trusted surveyor. If the alignment was as precise as Chris claimed, Steve's measurements would confirm it. The group headed out to Nolan's Cross, where Steve began mapping the positions of the boulders and the drilled stones. The goal was to see if the line created by these features intersected with the money pit or any other significant site. As Steve worked, the team reflected on the significance of the cross. This collection of the stones was a link to the past, a tangible connection to a story that had spanned centuries. If Chris's theory was correct, the Templars had left behind not only their treasures, but also their legacy encoded in the very landscape of Oak Island. The process of mapping the alignment required careful measurements and calculations. Steve tracked the line from Cone SE through the drilled stones, noting how it passed through key points on the island. The data seemed to support Chris's claims. This reinforced the idea that Nolan's Cross was more than just a coincidence. While the survey continued, the team could not ignore the broader implications of Chris's work. If the Templars had indeed hidden treasures on Oak Island, it would rewrite history as they knew it. The idea that a medieval order had crossed the Atlantic and left its mark on this remote island was both thrilling and humbling. Chris also mentioned the importance of the cross and its alignment. He acknowledged that there was still much to uncover, but he believed they were on the right track. For him, Nolan's Cross was a message from the past, a reminder of the lengths people would go to protect what they valued most. The next stop was a swamp, so the team headed there to excavate the area in the hope of finding something strange or new evidence. In the swamp, they found something else. During excavation, they found a massive tree stump buried deep in the muck. It was an oddity, considering that trees don't typically grow in water. The swamp itself had long been suspected of being an artificial feature, possibly constructed to hide entrances or clues to whatever treasure might be on the island. Finding a tree stump so deeply buried suggested that this area was not a swamp. It hinted that the land had once been forested and later manipulated into its current state. The stump, when examined closely, showed signs of being cut with tools, possibly an axe. This discovery opened a floodgate of theories. Was the tree cut down to clear the area for building something, perhaps even a money pit? The absence of related logs nearby was puzzling. Maybe someone had taken the wood to construct the wooden platforms found in the money pit decades ago. Those platforms, made of rounded logs, were discovered almost 2 centuries earlier and were thought to be part of design to safeguard the treasure from flooding. If the stump was connected to that work, it would add a new layer to the swamp's significance. The swamp had always been a mystery in itself. Earlier, the team had uncovered stone walkways and unusual rock formations there, which suggested significant human activity. The discovery of a second stump reinforced the idea that this was not just a natural feature, but part of a broader deliberate design. If they could date the stump accurately, it might reveal when the swamp was created or manipulated by human hands. Rick and Gary Drayton returned to the swamp the next day, determined to investigate further. With Billy running the excavator, they dug deeper into the triangle-shaped area, hoping to find more evidence of human activity. Sure enough, another stump was unearthed. Like the first, it had clean cuts that indicated tool use, but the surrounding logs were missing. It was as if someone had removed all the usable wood, leaving only the base of the tree. This reinforced the theory that the swamp had been forested and later transformed into what it is today, possibly as part of a grander scheme to hide the treasure. The question remained, why manipulate the swamp? One theory is that it was designed to obscure entrances to tunnels or other features connected to the money pit. Another possibility is that the swamp itself was part of the Templars or other settlers' efforts to conceal their activities on the island. The deeper the team dug, the clearer it became that this was not just a natural swamp. It was an intentional feature. Meanwhile, the focus shifted back to the money pit, where the team had made a significant breakthrough. After digging to a depth of 95 feet, they encountered a 7-foot wide tunnel that seemed to lead toward what they called the Baby Blob. The Baby Blob was an area identified by previous scans as potentially containing buried treasure. Excitement was building as the team prepared to explore the tunnel further. Using a sonic drill, they began probing the area around the tunnel and uncovered wooden pieces that appeared to be part of a structure, possibly one of the wooden platforms historically associated with the money pit. These logs were round and seemed to have been placed there deliberately. When they used a crowbar to explore beneath the logs, they found what appeared to be a hollow space. This suggested that the tunnel might still be intact and could lead to something significant. The round timbers were particularly exciting because they hinted at the age of the structure. These logs could date back to the original construction of the money pit, providing a direct connection to the people who built it. The fact that they were still in good condition after so many years was remarkable. This gave the team hope that they were on the verge of a major discovery. The plan now is to extend the shaft and explore the tunnel more thoroughly. This is no small task. It will require careful planning and execution to avoid damaging the structure or missing critical evidence. But the team is determined to push forward, knowing they are closer than ever to uncovering the truth about Oak Island. This entire sequence of discoveries raises intriguing questions. If the swamp was forested and later manipulated, what was the purpose of that transformation? There are currently 2 theories about the tunnel in the money pit. Maybe it is a genuine path to the treasure, or just another decoy meant to confuse treasure hunters. For now, we find it hard to believe that all these features, the drilled stones, Nolan's Cross, the swamp, and the money pit, are unrelated. They seem to form a cohesive system designed by people who are both highly skilled and deeply committed to protecting whatever lies beneath Oak Island. Whether it was the Templars, pirates, or another group entirely, the level of effort and ingenuity involved is astonishing. The tree stumps in the swamp are particularly fascinating. If they were part of the original forest, it means the swamp was deliberately flooded or transformed at some point. The idea that someone could turn an entire section of land into a swamp to hide their activities is brilliant, yes, but it is also unsettling. It shows the lengths people would go to protect their secrets. And then there is the tunnel. Finding hollow spaces beneath the logs suggests that this was not just a random structure. It was built with intent. The presence of round timbers, similar to those found on the wooden platforms, ties this find directly to the original money pit excavations. It is hard not to wonder if the team is on the verge of uncovering something monumental. What do you think is the secret here? What do you think is buried on Oak Island? Let us know your theory in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more updates. You won't want to miss what we uncover next.